Steve Hausman with Pat Coyne, Alex with Russ Landry from New York Life Safety. He is a professional environmental consulting company. Works in conjunction with Nothnagel Home Services. We talked about the radon stuff. I know you also do mold issues and inspection for asbestos and lead. But the thing that intrigued me about your business is your fuel tank removal biz. When does that come into play? Who needs that? And I think I'd flip out if I found out there was a fuel tank under my house.
Well, I think you would too.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a very common thing with the real estate market, and so in the market, Monroe County area. But once you get into Ontario County and you get into areas with petroleum tanks, some people are on oil, some people are still on propane and things like that, and most tanks these days might be above ground, but there's still several properties, probably hundreds of properties that are buried oil tanks.
Huh.
And what happens is with the real estate transaction, if you have a property tank that's buried and it's breached, it can be very problematic. I mean, state rules and regulations you have to follow, and you would hope that tank's intact. But the only way to check for it is you have magnetic equipment to actually go out in the field and find out how big is the tank, if it's a 500-gallon tank, a 300-gallon tank. And once you find out where that tank is and you basically measure it off, you have to also tap into the tank through the reservoir and determine if there's any fuel left in it.
Oh, my gosh.
And so if the tank is breached, then it can be very expensive.
And your company will come in and do all that testing. Will you dig the tank out? Will you take you a turnkey that way?
That's correct. I mean, we'll go ahead. We'll make sure that the tank's hopefully intact, and that we keep the cost to a little more reasonable level for the home seller. Typically, it's the home seller. And if the tank's in good shape, they can pull the tank out intact. Any fuel that's left in it can be removed, and they would pay for the removal cost for the fuel. And if the soil does not have any problems, there's no contamination, that's the cleanest type removal possible. In other cases where it's 30, 40-year-old tank where the optimal usage life is maybe 25 years, let's say, if that tank's breached, then the soil would have to be cleaned up.
What a nightmare.
It can be very problematic.
I just want to drive the backhoe. I don't really.
He wants to hit the tank just to see what happens.
Smash it with the backhoe. That'd be kind of fun.
They don't trust me to use the backhoe.
Professionals, of course. Yes. Mold issues are always big. It seems everybody has a concern with mold. How do I know if I have mold?
Everybody has mold.
Everybody does?
Yeah. There's thousands and thousands of types of mold, and really, you see mold on your basement wall. You see it on your drywall, and most times people think, wow, black mold. The biggest misconception about mold is that everything is black mold and toxic. That's really not the case. In some cases it is, but it's just not the case every time. So you really you have to do a little bit of homework about about what you're looking at. I'd say probably 90 to 95% of the time you're looking at allergenic mold. Most of your types of mold are your Cladosporidium and a whole bunch of other crazy names that we can throw out here this morning. But the fact is that most of your mold is not toxic mold and giving off what's called mycotoxins. And mycotoxin, when breathed in over a period of time, is actually can affect your respiration system.
Respiratory
system.
You.
I haven't had my coffee yet. Your respiratory system can be affected by mycotoxins, which affect your health adversely. So, mold.
But that's not very common, though. The mold is not very common.
You see that type of mold in properties that have been closed over a long period of time. They've had exposure to water.
Okay.
And in most cases, it's drywall that's been affected like that. Cinder block, although it's stained, typically is not a great source for mold because it's not its number one food source.
Oh.
It wants cellulose material to eat, and mold's a living organism. So, usually it's drywall that gets affected adversely by black toxic mold.
Okay.
So,
and you guys at New York Life Safety can take care of that.
Yes, and I have some partners in the industry that actually take on larger jobs for like water restoration, fire restoration. So when mold comes up, if it's not me handling it personally, it's partners of mine.
It seems like you have every base covered. Asbestos, is that still an issue, or lead? I mean, we still see a lot of that?
A lot.
A lot?
Yep.
Really?
A lot. And asbestos is it's very troublesome in the real estate world because of the rules and regulations for New York State. And we have some very strict rules and regulations, as we should. And asbestos is, even though it's, after the late 80s, it's been taken out of most of the products.
Yeah.
We still can't be sure that products going into buildings even today do not contain asbestos. So,
Wow.
It's imported from China, imported from Canada. Canada still mines it. They still believe different strands of asbestos are not hazardous to your health.
Well, they can hear us up across the lake right now, and there's your chance to get with it, Canada.
Yeah.
New York Life Safety is the company. Your phone number if folks want to get in touch?
My number is 202-0178. I'm located at 145 Lake Avenue in Rochester, New York.
202-0178, and your website. We'll link it up with our site at propertysourceradio.com, and we can have folks find out what you offer at New York Life Safety. That website is?
It's nylifesafety.com.
Oddly, you got a good one then. It's always great when you can get your company name on the website.
I appreciate that.
Perfect. Hey, thanks for joining us, Russ. It was great to have you, some great information. And again, you can check out everything that they have to offer and how it can apply to you at NewYorkLifeSafety.com and at PropertySourceRadio.com.